Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to the weekly roundup. It is Friday, June the 14th, 2024, and a fair bit going on in the world of boxing at the moment, both here in Australia and overseas. Big weekend for us Aussies here, of course. We've got Liam Paro up against Subriel Matias for the WBO 140-pound title that's taking place in Manatee, Puerto Rico. So big challenge for Liam Wilson. They don't get much bigger than this one. Matias, he's a beast. 20 wins, 1 loss. Liam Paro is 24-0. Really looking forward to this one. I think Liam Paro can pull it off. Matias won't be pushover. It's in his hometown, of course, in Puerto Rico, so it's going to be tough. And makes it even tougher when the promoter of the event, Eddie Hearn, has already been discussing Matias challenging Teofimo Lopez, to unify the WBO and IBF, and just to sort of take that back. It's not for the WBO 140-pound title. Of course, Teofimo Lopez owns that belt. This is for the IBF 140-pound title. But Lopez with that WBO belt, and as I said, it's not a great sign for Liam Paro when Eddie Hearn's already discussing Matias versus Lopez for both of those belts. But look, as I said, I think Liam Paro can get the job done. I think he's got all the attributes needed to beat Matias. I'm still a little bit suspect on Matias, whether he's got the credentials of some of his contemporaries at 140. I think a little bit untested at the moment, and I think it's a golden opportunity for Liam Paro to win the belt. Now, just on that, I will be going live from 10 a.m. On the Boxing Deep Dive YouTube channel, of course, the one you're watching now. And we'll do a live watch along with the rest of the card. Not quite sure what time Liam Paro will be on, but as I said, we will go live from 10 a.m. We'll probably get one or two of the prelim fights in as well, and into the main event, Subriel Matias versus Liam Paro for the IBF 140-pound championship. On to the world news. Also, another big fight on Sunday. This is Australian time I'm talking about. From Las Vegas, Gervonta Tank Davis, 29-0. He will fight Frank Martin in defense of that WBA lightweight title. Frank Martin, 18-0. But as always, a lot of theatrics in this event. Davis didn't turn up for the grand arrivals the other day. Frank Martin, I think he's done what a challenger should do. I think he understands he's the B side. But Gervonta Davis, I'm not quite sure what planet this guy lives on sometimes, but he's the lightweight champion, and I expect him to probably get the job done over Frank Martin. On the undercard, this is a fight I am actually looking forward to seeing. David Benavides up against Alexander Gvozdyk. I think that's how you pronounce it. Benavides 28-0, Gvozdyk 20-1. That's for the interim WBC 175-pound title, or light heavyweight title. Also on that card, two other world title fights. Gary Russell, 17-0. He'll fight Alberto Puello for the interim WBC 140-pound title. Of course, Devin Haney has the full belt. Gary Russell, 17-0. Puello, 22-0. And in the other world title fight on that card, former Tim Tszyu victim Terrell Gausha, 24-3-1. He'll challenge Carlos Adames, who's 23-1. For the WBC 160-pound title. Now, I think that card kicks off at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning here in Australia. That is available on main event. The Paro Matias fight, if you've got DAZN, will be free, and that's on that DAZN app from 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Time here in Australia. Last week, a few results. Adrian Broner lost a 10-round decision to Blair Cobbs. Not quite sure where that leaves Adrian Broner. He fell to 35-5-1. Got dropped in that fight as well against the Flair Cobbs, who improved to 17-1-1. As I said, I'm not quite sure where Broner goes after this fight. Just a classic case of a wasted talent, if you ask me. I don't think Cobbs is anything really worth writing home about. I think he's capable, but I think it's a fight Adrian Broner definitely should have won. And when you fight, I think it was his third fight in 4 or 5 years. You just can't do that at this level. Has said he will continue to box on. I'm just not quite sure what prospects are out there for Adrian Broner. I'm sure Blair Cobbs will go on to some sort of big fight for him. But as I said, for Broner, I think it might be all done and dusted for the problem. This is a bit of news that really raised or got my attention, raised my eyebrows and got my attention. The Saudis have raised the possibility of creating a boxing league. Now it's through the PIF, which is the Public Investment Fund. Now the plan would be to absorb Golden Boy, Matchroom, Top Rank, probably PBC into one organization. So it would be a UFC style of company. So we would the benefit or the great A side or plus side, whatever you want to call it, would be that we would have the best fighting the best, a la the UFC. The downside, of course, is can you imagine Golden Boy, Matchroom, Top Rank, and PBC sitting down and probably talking realistically about going under the banner of the Saudi Boxing League? Look, as always, money talks. They're talking billions of dollars, might even be up to like $5 billion or something to make it happen. I know the Saudis have got it, but would Bob Arum want to relinquish Top Rank? Would Oscar De La Hoya want to relinquish Golden Boy and obviously Matchroom with Eddie Hearn? I just don't think so, unless they got some massive payout. I'm just not sure whether that would happen. Look, I'm really happy that at least it's being raised by the Saudis. Whether or not they can pull it off is another thing. But again, they have got the money to make it happen. So if anyone's going to do it, they are. And look, they have worked with most of these promoters in the past. So I'm sure there's some sort of relationship there. Of course, you can probably throw Queensberry into that as well. So it's a really interesting concept. Will they be able to get it off the ground? Again, I'm very doubtful, but I'm also not afraid to say that I was very doubtful that the Saudis would hang around in boxing and create some of the cards they've put together so far. So I'm not putting anything past the Saudis, but whether they can create the Saudi Boxing League, for me, I would have to see a lot more proof and evidence and plans and all that to convince me. But if it does come off, it would be unbelievable for boxing. We wouldn't need the sanctioning bodies, the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO. They would just be forgotten about, which could be a good thing, to be honest, because I think a lot of their belts have probably had or been tarnished in the last sort of decade or two with some of the stunts they pull as far as rules for some boxers and not for others, and the exorbitant prices they charge or fees they charge promoters to fight for their belt. So in that respect, I think it would be a good thing. But again, whether they can pull it off remains to be seen. Still on the Saudis, they're talking about the September card in Wembley. Eddie Hearn and His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh are putting that card together now. It's looking more and more likely that Anthony Joshua will fight Daniel Dubois, but there's talk that Jaya Pattaya and Hamza Shiraz, who had very impressive wins recently on those cards in Saudi Arabia, will be on the undercard amongst a few others as well. So the September card featuring Joshua and most likely Dubois will start to take shape, you would think, in the next few weeks. Jaron Boots Ennis, he's got a new opponent, David Avanazion. I always get that wrong. I think that's right, pronounced right. David Avanazion. You get who I'm talking about. July 13, Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia for the IBF 147-pound title. Ennis 31, Avanazion 30 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. I think I'll just call him David from now on. So he has got a new opponent. And again, that is for the IBF 147-pound title. Australia's Sky Nicholson will be on the undercard of that fight in defense of her WBC featherweight belt. There is some talk as well that Virgil Ortiz, his fight, of course, with Tim Tszyu is off. There is talk or rumors that he could fight Sergey Bohachuk for that interim WBC 154-pound title on August 3rd, which is the card featuring Crawford and Madrimov, or possibly a new date. Ortiz is 21-0, 21 knockouts. Bohachuk, who had that very impressive win over Brian Mendoza, he's 24-1. So if that fight happens, I think it would be a great fight. I'm not really sure who wins that fight. You could probably make an argument for either one to win that, but the fact that they might be fighting, I think, is great. And if it is added to that card, I will have my faith restored in that, because since the Tszyu Ortiz fight was called off, I must admit that my interest in the card did wane a little bit. I think that was the fight that everyone was really looking forward to, even though Crawford-Madrimov is the main event. So if Ortiz-Bohachuk is added to that card, I think it will again be one of the cards of the year. A fight that's sort of been raised in the last sort of week or so that did again get my attention is that Manny Pacquiao might make a comeback against Mario Barrios in September for the interim WBC 147-pound title or welterweight title. Pacquiao hasn't fought, I think, for 2 or 3 years, I think it is. I'm not quite sure if that's even, well, we are talking about the WBC, of course. I was just going to say whether that's even possible considering he hasn't fought for 3 years, but with the WBC, well, you never say never, do you? So there is talk about that one. Apparently, Pacquiao is doing an exhibition in Japan on July 28th, 3x3 rounds against MMA champion or MMA superstar Chihiro Suzuki. So that is the fight that apparently is going to be the tune-up, and then the Mario Barrios fight in September. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. Purse bids are apparently on the cards for the June 18 fight between Devin Haney and Sandor Martin. Haney 31-1, Martin is 42-3. That would be for the WBC 140-pound title. So purse bids, as I said, June 18th for that one. Another interesting thing I saw the other day is that Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia are both apparently waiting on payment from Golden Boy Promotions for the fight earlier in the year that Garcia, of course, beat Devin Haney for the, I was going to say it was for a belt. It wasn't for a belt, of course. He didn't make weight. Look, I'm sure that Golden Boy did actually put out a statement to say that it's quite normal for this to happen, that they're, of course, waiting on payments from pay-per-view and everything else to come through. So, look, it did raise my eyebrows on that one, but I don't think it's anything untoward. I think it's just been maybe a delay in getting payment from the broadcasters over there. And I'm sure Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney will be paid. And one last thing, Leonard Allaby has left Mayweather Promotions. So he's been at the helm for quite a long time, overseen some of the biggest fights in history. So he's going to move on to spend more time with his friends and family. And the thing that was interesting about it is that former Golden Boy boss Richard Schaefer is going to be the man that will replace Leonard Allaby. And I'm sure these two have had many duels over the years. But Richard Schaefer, who I think fronted, was it Triller or one of those companies after leaving Golden Boy, he's going to take on Mayweather Promotions. And already Oscar De La Hoya having a field day on social media, getting stuck into both Richard Schaefer, Leonard Allaby and Mayweather Promotions. So as always, never a dull moment in boxing. So that's about it for this week's weekly roundup. Again, I'll be live on Sunday morning Australian time from 10 a.m. for the Liam Paro Subriel Matias watch along. So make sure you tune into that. It's always good fun to either watch it with other fight fans like myself and everyone that's tuning in. Maybe you're at work or you're away or something, you can't actually tune in to watch the fight live, so it's great for live updates, or simply you haven't got the Zone or whatever it might be and you don't want to pay for it, that's fine, then log in as well, and I'll keep you up to date and chat all things boxing as well. So again, 10 a.m. Sunday morning. So until next week, thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a great weekend watching the boxing, and all the best to Liam Paro.